My name's Danny, and I love to write lyrics. I like to write words about what I feel inside of me.
Yeah, well, I actually met Danny at the OCD clinic. We were both in this intensive treatment program for OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, which, as most people know, it's an anxiety disorder. But it was an intensive treatment program. It actually, for me, just ended today.
I never even knew Lauren, and like I don't know if you brought up piano in one day, but somehow we talked about music and like.
I think because I tell everyone that I write music because I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe something will happen. So
kind of I'm trying to like get my emotions out on a piece of paper by instead of like telling other people, I just write them on paper. And I think like my best friend's suicide is like the first song I ever showed you, right?
Well, you emailed me the lyrics, and then I wrote the music and the song to it, and then I showed it to you. You're like, oh, wow.
I loved it. Yeah, as soon as I heard her singing it, it's kind of like a release for me to release that pain of losing my best friend, and I'm just so happy that Lauren can do that because I can't sing that song. I'm a really bad singer, but it's not just that. It's just emotionally, I needed someone to like do this for me so I can listen to it. Does that make sense? Okay, it's hard to say it, but I will anyways. My ex-wife, I was in the Philippines, living in the Philippines, and I was about to come home to U.S. because my mom has cancer.
I've struggled for a lot of years with mental illness, and actually it was only last year that I began to write music myself, mostly about a lot of the struggles with mental illness that I have had. So I went on Facebook and I saw a picture of her with this guy and a baby, and the second later I went upstairs and I was living in the Philippines in this huge like mansion thing, like, and in Cebu, a city called Cebu, and there was like a cliff. It was actually an 8-story building. So I went up to the top of the building where I used to live, and I tried to jump off, but I couldn't do it. So then I took a lot of Klonopin. I went to the store. I had a prescription for Klonopin, so I started like hoarding the Klonopin and planning it out. And then when I went to the internet, I found out that Klonopin doesn't do anything if you overdose on it.
So what made you want to do it, to even plan it to begin with?
I didn't want. I think I missed so much. So this is like my last suicide attempt, but I missed her so much. I loved her so much, and I think we still love each other in a weird way. Like, but it's like almost like a child, you know. Like I feel like we had like a not brother sister thing. I don't know what it was, but like I didn't want to face the world. I didn't want to have it one day without her, I think. I never planned to actually kill myself, but I've been in places where I was willing to do riskier than normal things in order to escape the suffering that I was having. So I definitely relate on that level to it. And music is a way to really express these intense feelings without, physically hurting yourself. So
you watch them die, run, run, run. Society says, run, run, run. You're less than human. Run, run, run. The weak must die.
Well, mental illness it's a lot better than it was, but it's still very, very stigmatized. So it's not just something you can bring up in casual conversation. Most of my friends right now I've met because I've been in treatment for the last few years. I've met in like treatment centers or groups, so obviously I can talk about it with them. But my goal is to make my music kind of a way for mental illness to speak for itself, so it's not so shameful to have it.
That's beautiful.
Did you hold it? Thanks.
She knows the chorus. She memorized it. I don't even know what the words are.
Well, because it goes, the weak must die, the strong must survive.
There it
that
is.
was kind of...
Is that the part?
Yeah, no, yeah, I know it, I'm good. They put the men to they were, they were racially superior, and then so they could do all these horrible things to them.
worthy of life. Joy Division is her vision. To live or die, mankind makes the decision. Wash your hands with soap made up of your friends. You watched them
Well, there's this one thing called Joy Division. It's like one of my favorite bands, and like I didn't know what Joy Division meant, but it was like it has to do with like in the Holocaust they had like these.
Sorry.
They basically like raped these women, and that was like what happened. And
Starved to death, look at the cost. Run, 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 the judgment in your eyes. Society's divided.
the soap and the water has. I think Lauren, I might have read something about that, right?
Well, it was kind of like psychological torture. They'd give the prisoners, the Jewish prisoners, the soap. They'd say, "Oh, we made it out of the dead Jewish bodies, and now you're, you know." So I don't know if it was true or not, but that's what they tell them. So just to really torture them, you know. And another reference is as far as the drink seawater. It's an ironic part because they would make them drink seawater, which obviously makes you more dehydrated. So it's ironic, the more you drink, the more you need water. They'd also make them like play really upbeat music before they die, like obscenely upbeat music. So to play some upbeat music for the war to drown out the screams, which is pretty much.
Run, 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 the strong must survive. Arms outstretched, nailed to the cross. Starved to death, look at the cost. Run, 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 the judgment in your eyes.
Originally, this song was about my grandfather, and I didn't even know, but I wrote a song about the Holocaust because my grandfather was a survivor of the Holocaust.
I don't really know too much about the Holocaust. Like what I know mental illness. Like that's what I write about. So I'm like, how can I kind of tie this in? So the song's basically about, you know, how horrible it is when society says, you know, terrible things happen when people say they're better than someone else.
Run, 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 society says. Run, 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 you're less than human. Run, 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 the weak aside. Run, 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 the strong must survive.
Well,
That's how.
you can't tell people unless they're also mentally ill. Like you can't just say, "Oh yeah, I'm, you know, I have this disorder." You know, I mean, you can't just say that to people, and because they'll you know, be like, "Oh, you know, she's a freak."
Society's divide. Society's divide.
Well, I think music has definitely given me a purpose, because before that, I just really followed society's rules. You know, I did well in high school, and I went to a 4-year university like all the successful people do, but I was miserable because that wasn't my path. And what ended up happening is that I was so miserable that I basically started to decompensate with my mental health. That just things started to go downhill with the OCD, and I was, you know, I was cutting myself, and I was taking pills, and I was just really, you know, I wasn't ready to kill myself, but I was really at the end, kind of my rope.
The thing that kept me alive, I think it was my mom. I just saw my mom, when I came back from the Philippines, my mom had cancer, and I just couldn't do it in front of her. I was going to wait till she died to do it, and, but like the thing is now, like when I went to the psychologist, he told me that he asked me if I was a cruel person, and I said I don't think I'm a cruel person. He says, well, if you were to commit suicide, you would destroy everybody else's life. You know, it's really cruel. And I never thought about it that way because I think of suicide as like, for me it was like my salvation, something that I owned and something that I could do, and I felt like no one had a right to stop me thing.
But it's almost, the best way to describe it, it's like the intensity is so deep that you can't scream it because it's just not enough. So you let it, it's like you let it go. It's like you have this intense anger or whatever emotion, and through the music you let it go subtly, because if you let it all go all at once, everything would just fall apart. So it's almost like more intense.
It's a cool song. I just love this song.
Now I'm interested in knowing if there's a correlation between sadness and artistry.
Yes. I do a lot better when I'm miserable, which is weird.
Actually, the first song, the Fragile, goes dun-dun-dun-dun, 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 and then like it says something else. Like, do you remember that part?
I
The
heard the
first
drums,
part?
but I don't remember the different vibe.
Yeah. It's okay. Don't use their drums, dude. Just like it's
What,
like.
live drums over just digital drums?
Can we do like the 9 Inch Nails sound? How do you get that sound? Fragile, the Fragile by 9 Inch Nails.
I guess I'm at the right amount of miserable to be able to write music.
There are levels to misery.
Yeah. I was no, here.
I don't need a whole lot. It's not like, like a lot of misery. Like some people are like really dramatic. I met other musicians who like have all these awful things happen and like that feels them. Like I don't need that much. Just little irritations will make me do stuff.
I'd had to go to treatment secretly in college because my parents they didn't really want to be involved in the mental health system. So I went to college and got treatment secretly. But then finally when I had to stop, my parents were finally supportive of it because I really, really needed it.
Well, I've been hospitalized, and I always felt like I was a prisoner in the hospital. Like like they wouldn't let me out, and like I had to go to court to get out of there. Like, I mean, they told me, oh, we're gonna adjust your medication. I went to this hospital, and pretty soon, like these big dudes are coming over and like locking me up. And then they basically took my mom's word that I was suicidal, and then they wouldn't let me out until I went to court. But but I did voluntarily go to a hospital when I was like 18 because I was suicidal, and I told my doctor. Steve told me that I should just let everything out, like all these emotions. So I think I wrote like, I don't know how many songs, like 15, 20 songs in a few days because I had so much to say. And something just kind of clicked. It was after, I think that I had gotten better enough with my issues to write music. I was really too ill to really do much of anything rather than write music. So, and I really like the artist Lando. I really connected to the sound. So I kind of learned some of the chords and then kind of put my own spin on it, and it somehow just all came together, and I realized I was able to write songs just of last year. I'd always wanted to do it, but I couldn't, I guess, organize my brain enough to do it, and something just kind of clicked. So I started writing like a ton of songs, like probably like the beginning of 2014. Yeah, it irritates the... I think you do get irritated by my songs when I first, when I first send them to you, you kind of get irritated. No, because I have the power to organize them. Yeah.
I like add a lot of my own stuff too.
Yeah.
So I use stuff that's like, I look at the words and I'm like, how do I get across what he's trying to say, but do it in an organized way?
Yeah, she's so good at doing that.
I feel that I could just be honest. My main problem with my music is I haven't had enough exposure with other people. I write all this stuff, and I'll make little recordings, but I'll keep it to myself. So to work with Danny, to work with someone else, I'm expressing it to other people, which is kind of a new thing, which is why I was really excited to kind of jump on board with this project.
The more you drink, the more you need water. Play some upbeat music for the war to drown out the screams. Run, 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 society says.
During the World War II time, they would actually, if you had any kind of mental illness, they would, put you in these gas chambers to die in it. And it wasn't just if you were Jewish, you could be German and have mental illness, any race. So the point being is that it's not about race, it's about dividing people.
Remember 1945, Nazi laws. Remember 1945, humanity.
And if you're mentally ill, like, of course, families don't treat you the same way. Like, my family, they love me, but they always say, oh, Danny's mentally ill, but we love him.
Say you want to kill yourself. 3 days and you're out. Drink seawater. It's ironic. The more you drink, the more you need water.
I think I was depressed at one point, but just a lot of problems really came on, and so I was now in this kind of like mentally ill category because which growing up it was like, oh, that's like a different set of people. So that's kind of just how it was when I grew up. Oh, there are normal people, and then there are like mentally ill people, and you're a normal person, so you can't be in that category. But, you know, I'm the same person I was when I was younger. It's just I got hit with these problems. So this song is really about breaking down those barriers and those divisions between people.
It's war sound, war round. Instead of building another wall, try tearing a couple more down.
I want to talk about we're just talking about your rapping. We about this song and the rapping.
Oh, awesome.
Just for a second. So
Are you interviewing?
Yeah, we're interviewing.
Oh, yeah, I'm running this
we want
right
you
now.
in this.
It was just, I think, what Lauren was talking about is how don't kick people when they're down. Look at that what the Nazis did, and then she said something really crazy, which is fucked up. Not fucked up of her, but like forcing people to shower because you're depriving them of showers with soap made from people that they just washed and maybe your family member. That some people are that fucked up in the world and society is doing that and saying that it's for the good of society. So how instead of harping on it, she's just pointing out some instances of some really fucked up shit. Yeah. And then all I'm saying is the same things. Like we live in blurred times. Like and all the isms are bad. Racism is just as bad as sexism or denying gay people rights. And we're all humans. Treat people the way you want to be treated. It's the fucking golden the oldest fucking philosophical rule ever created. Like, don't rape my sister. I don't want to rape your sister. Don't do that. Don't kill me. I don't want to kill you. Just fucking live and let live. So I don't really mince my tongue. So ask that to that gay person who gets denied cake. Ask that to a Palestinian that might feel a certain way about occupation of Israel. Ask that to the black family whose a white police officer just shot her son in the back and they finally gave the camera and saw that he was unarmed. Like, we still fuck each other up, and there are all instances of people not quite showing the same compassion that you would want shown to your mother or your child. That society, it's an individual thing, but collectively we all do it to each other. We live in a country that claims it's democracy and still trying to tell women what the fuck to do with their bodies. I mean, how civilized is that?
What do you think is the ultimate definition of love?
Love? I don't.
Well, I think that for me, love is like my mom. I mean, I think that when I think of love, I think of my mom because that's the only person that's gonna basically it's like unconditional love.
Love is more than an emotion because emotions come and go. Emotions are just always changing. Love is something stable, like a kind of a passion for life, something that's steady, something that keeps you going. Some people have religion, some people have careers, some people find it in different ways, but it's something stable that will always keep you going.